Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Type Zoe, and this is Invaders from the Distant Seas Lufenia, and it's an Xtreme TCC challenge. We've got our team of Cloud, Serah, and Galuf. So this run did not go completely as planned. There were quite a few mistakes I made in the run, and misclicks, and complete abominations, really, of how to execute a team, but I'm gonna upload this one anyway because it's fun to see the not-so-smooth run, in addition to the ones that go perfectly from how you plan them to the end, so just get the whole range here, and let's get into the battle itself. So these sharks are honestly nastier than I thought they would be. I think I undersold them a little bit in my Academy video previously, so sorry about that one. There's quite a couple mechanics where if you're not bringing a nice full airlines team, they're going to be a bit annoying to deal with. So at 80%, 50%, and 30%, they are going to go into a threshold where they gain HP damage reduction, and the only way to get rid of this is to launch them for 150k. Now, the problem with that is you have to do it almost entirely through the chase sequence instead of the initial hit. There's some ways to get around this via mostly stacking burst effects, but since this is an extreme run, we have only one burst effect potentially, so we had to think about it a little differently. Since there's going to be 3 different phases where they do the HP reduction, I like to think about it by using your resources one time for each phase. So for me, that's going to be, I'm going to be using one with my calls, one with my summon, and one with my friend unit. So that's a good way to break it down, and then you can also substitute your own burst phase in as a good place to get potential launches depending on who you bring. So that's something to keep in mind for Cloud's BT, Layle's BT, those are 2 good ones really. Let's get into the fight itself as we come up on the first threshold. So when I want to think about what I'm going to be using for each threshold, it really can change. I don't have to use them in a set rotation. For this one, I decided to use my calls because I had Cloud ready to set them up immediately without any waiting. So he used his immediately regular call and his AA to keep his turn while he pushed them to the 79%, and now he's going to delete them and set up a big launch for us to get rid of one of the reductions. You'll see here that finishing touch got super nerf damage, but Galuf's chase was able to clear it, and we got a nice 250k. Galuf is going to leave the launch for Serah here because the party isn't batteried right now, so using the launch on him wouldn't do anything, and Serah's going to be able to do it with a Moonlight, get that huge battery, and super easily clear it. So that's the first threshold done with not too many issues, and it only gets worse from here, unfortunately. So let's see how we do next. Galuf's LD falls off here, but I knew that B was going to be coming out of break soon, so I wasn't super worried, and one turn without it isn't the end of the world, and it is only 20 turns of uptime, so you do want to be careful of not doing it too early. If you have a chance to take a breather and then let it fall off naturally, you can do so. Gonna pop Gabrant here, finally get those extra HP damage up, and reset Galuf. Him and Celis do a great job, in my opinion, of keeping this fight safe for the non-standard teams, which is like Layle plus Kais is generally the easiest way to beat this, but I think Galuf or Celis are awesome other party members, and I would have used Celis, but she is synergy, so I brought Galuf instead. One tip with this team that I've been trying to do throughout the run is avoid using Cloud's cross slash whenever possible, because the paralyze is going to prevent Galuf from doing his counters, which is both one, a source of battery for our team, and 2, just a good way of damage, because I want to end this fight as quickly as possible because Galuf's LD buff might fall off, but spoilers, that doesn't happen, so we are going to have to make do with that eventually, but we're coming up on 50%, which is both the second threshold and when the orb falls off, so we won't have to worry about launching quite as much then. So we got one of Cloud's finishing touches here to keep our orb up. Serah, I haven't talked about much yet, but she's just doing Serah things, honestly. Her regen is so powerful, her auras are great, and her poisons and saps really help with the shaving. Managing turn order in this fight is probably the trickiest part of it, to be honest, because they jump so much with both their all attacks and their thresholds. What you're going to be looking at is when they hit one of those 2 things, you're going to have your first character in front. Let's say Galuf is in front for now. Then the shark is going to jump behind him. Then you'll have another player character, and then you'll have the second shark after. So it always splits you up in an attempt to sell Layle, who can, of course, his launches are going to be the ones that ignore those turn order mess ups and make everything super really easy. Coming up on that second threshold, this is where things really start going wrong for me, and I won't spoil anything, but it's not pretty, and honestly, I was kind of mad at myself. There were things I really should have recognized, like using a blade beam right there, for example. That wasn't super great. I know the orb was running low, and that's why I was worried, but I honestly don't remember why I tried to delay there, because it wasn't going to be in time to get a good launch, and I guess maybe it was to use my summon, but I used my finishing touch. They're both at 50 now, and this one is only going to be taken out of the orb by Galuf's counter, so got very lucky that the damage there was enough. And so now I've got a launch on it, but Serah isn't there, so I'm going to be using my Onion Knight call to fix that turn order. So now Sarah's going to get her Moonlight off, which is the easiest way for this team to get the full 150k needed. Right, letter A is going to be going into its phase. And here I bring in Blart's Ramza. I think this is where I really screwed up. It's been a while since I used Ramza, and I was like, oh, his LD always leaves us with like 50k in the party, so hopefully we'll be fine. And spoilers, we weren't fine. We did almost no damage, and now I've got a shark who is still in his HP reduction phase, and I am not set up to deal with it. So I used another of Sarah's LDs to give the team some battery, and then hopefully the next Ramza LD is going to be the one to do it. Got them both unbroken, luckily, so when he breaks them, it's going to be just enough to delay to Serah dealing with it, and now we're going to be able to get it done. So that's me wasting 2 of Ramza's turns without his burst effect on. So unfortunately for me, I don't quite get the DPS I wanted out of Ramza. Sorry, Blart. If you haven't checked out Blart, please do, but you probably have. He's the new hot thing, so I finally get the burst effect up, and it's decent damage, and at least I'll have it for a little bit, better than nothing. Those brutal breaks here, and that blue splash messes up my turn order again, so I'm gonna go for a Meteor Rain. And I've been fine using Cloud's Cross Slashes while Ramza's on the field, just to give us a little break from the ones that are potentially dangerous. So if they're lethal, they're going to have a single target attack, and if they're just doing the splash, they're going to have the all attacks. That's kind of what you know when you need to protect yourself. Was fully batteried there, so a water plus hit wouldn't have done too much for me there. But you can really see just like what I could have had if I had 4 turns of Ramza, and you can see how much our battery is doing already, and our regen, it's just so much better. I didn't get a launch off on the Enervate either. There were just so many more things I could have done to optimize this, but it's okay, and we're coming up on the last threshold. So let's see, go for the summon here, which I was hoping that the splash was going to take B into 29, which it did take it down. But now we've got no batteries, so I do have to wait a little bit to get the launch on B. So I'm going to attack A a couple times. The cross slash again, just because I had to. Use a single target. And there, Sarah's Moonlight. We'll get one of them down. Now, the other shark is going to be sticking around for us a little longer, so to speak. You'll see my summon phase is running low, and I don't have the full party ready for a launch. I don't even have anybody ready for a launch, so now I'm just sitting here and wondering how the hell am I going to get letter A in the air again with a proper setup, because right now my turn order is set that Galuf is going first every time, which is tough because he can't initiate the launches well enough, and he needs to be in the back doing a chase. So I'm wondering what's going to happen for me to fix that, and I'm kind of preparing just to beat the entire fight with the HP reduction on, but luckily that doesn't happen, and we do get it off eventually, but oh my god, it takes a while. You can see there 90k on one shark is only doing 9k on the other, almost 90% reduction. Only the Gabronth call upping that a little bit. But yep, I am out of calls, so I can't do any of those shenanigans to fix this. I'm trying to see if I can do some high turn rate stuff with Serah, and that's what I end up going for, but it doesn't pay off immediately. I have to wait for the bosses to do a couple things. B wasn't in the way. This would have been the perfect chance, really, but... So I tried to set up the launch on A soon enough. I'm hoping that a re-break call would have been super nice here, but that's the thing with calls. There's only 3 of them, so you gotta pick what you want, really. Here is one of the most painful moments in the run. I popped Serah's AA and tried to think that her LD would give us just enough to get the chase, and we come agonizingly close, 149.2. We were literally 800 damage off, so you hate to see that, and it's going to be a little bit more time before we get our shark done. This is when I was starting to thinking, okay, I'm probably going to have to reset this one because I have no idea how to deal with this, and even with the ridiculous 110 turn count for this fight, I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to do it because Galuf's LD was going to fall off, we were going to run out of skills, it was going to be a whole thing, but luckily, we're coming almost into the clear. We might have something potentially to save us. Get ourselves a nice counter here. And we got Cloud batteried up and going for Galuf's last LD, really hoping that his damage would be enough, and it just is 154k, so we finally get rid of that last shark's HP damage reduction, and it's mostly smooth sailing from the end here, so we were able to recover from a couple missteps just by biding our time, really, and waiting for opportunities to come. The Serah LD was a gamble, but it's one I'm happy I took still, because if I had taken it, it just would have been safer and given me a better turn count, and her buff wasn't really in danger of falling off for the rest of the fight, so it was a risk worth taking, I think. But now that we're in the end stretch, I'm really just dumping all my skills into letter A and hoping to kill him in a somewhat fast notion. I only have 4 turns left on Galuf's LD, so that's something to keep in mind, but even without the LD, with his cover, he should still be able to tank them as long as he's batteried, and Serah should be able to do that. So there goes letter B, so we've got just 1 more to go. Now Cloud's Meteor Rain is going to start doing some good damage again, thanks to this single target. God, I really hope they fix that. It has upcoming Burst Plus, just make that full AoE. Why is it alternating hits? Like, come on. Alternating hits are just a mechanic that should be left in the past. Deuce EX really needs that too, please, for my girl. But yeah, that's about gonna do it for us. This takes a few more turns to get those final hits in, but thanks so much for watching, and let me know what else you'd like to see, run-wise, challenge-wise, other content-wise. I've got something in the works that's not a run or an Academy episode, so be on the lookout for that. Should be coming this weekend before Kurosame and Cypher. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye, Anara!